welcome to day one of week 4 of Split 1 of the 2019 OPL. I'm Nick Richardson. Thank you very much, Bryce. I don't know if I actually, I feel like I need that encouragement because you threw me off last week.
Yeah, you ruined it last week.
I thought about, okay, so last week it was like 2 minutes before we went live. We hit 15 seconds just then, and I thought about like doing it, and I was like, maybe I'll give him some slack. And then, look, there you go.
There you go.
I'm the problem.
I'm a big boy, and I made it through. Of course, we've got eJim, we've got Spawn. How are you, gentlemen?
How are you? I'm pretty bloody good, you know. Cheeky flight up from Melbourne this morning.
What did you do on your flight, Bryce? Because I hear that you have been reading lots of books on your plane.
Well, okay, I endeavoured to read lots of books on my plane. That's scheduled reading time, and then I got on the plane and I just conked it. I was gone.
Really?
I like. How do you guys sleep on planes? I maneuver between everything. Hood on the window. I'm laying on the desk in front of me until the
That's not a desk. That's a food tray.
Yeah, the food tray.
Lying on the tray.
I barely fit. I barely fit because I'm pretty tall. And I try, like, you do one of these ones, and then you do one of these ones.
I might be over 6 foot.
But if their seat is even slightly declined, then it's a real bad
What
time.
happens if, like, what if you lie down, and we'll get to legal issues in a sec. What if you lie down and their seat's upright, in the upright position, and then as you're asleep, they do the big chunk back, and they go like,
No, I know someone who was telling me exactly about that situation, and she couldn't get out.
And you continue to live dangerously.
It was like a minute to 2 minute debacle of trying to get unwedged from the seat in front.
All right,
that sounds like a roughie.
There you go. Did you sleep on the flight?
No, I didn't. I played Dead Cells on my flight, on my Switch.
Good game!
Yeah, great game.
Are we allowed to say that? I will.
I mean, it's not a direct competitor. Beat the mini-boss on it, and like my one run nearly took it out. I was
not even a real boss.
Fantastic.
Or mini-boss.
Hey, shut up. You were asleep.
You've never played the game. You don't even have a... Yeah. Anyway, and I've been getting up early, so I feel good.
You've got a very wide look in your eyes. No, you said you've been going to the gym in the morning, getting fresh starts.
So Juves told me, and Juves would know.
I thought you weren't allowed to speak to Juves anymore.
No, I'm not allowed to play with Juves, which I have not done. All millionaires get up at 4 a.m.
Any sentence that starts with all somethings do this.
Also,
any sentence is just wrong.
Any sentence starts with Juves told me is also wrong.
Hey, he's the king of the Moguls, so head Mogul Juves told me that all millionaires get up at 4 a.m. I don't want to be a millionaire. I'm not that greedy. I'll take like just 100,000 there. So I get up at 6 a.m., which I figure is the next best thing.
Well, someone who is asleep right now, it's Bailey. Bailey, aka the goodest boy, aka the thing in the studio that stole my single shot. So I no longer have a single on me, the most important person in the broadcast. There's like this weird wide shot that I don't think my agent agreed to. So I'm going to have to talk to someone on the production team.
Bailey needs some camera training. That is definitely the wrong way. He is facing...
It's not his good side.
He's hanging out with King Poro and not looking at... Oh, you monster.
I didn't pitch him hard.
There we go.
Guys, I just wanted... There's his face. Yeah,
he's back.
Boy. All right, it's time to talk about League of Legends. We're back for another weekend. We're very excited. It's Lunar New Year, obviously. We've got some lanterns, and I think that's about it. Decorating the place. Unless Bailey's Chinese. Are you Chinese?
Yep.
All right.
We haven't got a Pyro ad for this Lunar New Year. Pyro hasn't done an ad for our broadcast?
Pyro, have you done anything?
Not for Lunar New Year, but we got a sweet background.
That's a very cool background. Now, I'll tell you something that Pyro has done, though. He's had the most Australian experience. So, you know how it's something that...
Oh, he's a monster.
Here's something that really frustrates me. When people come to the country and they're like, I hear all the animals here kill you. And it's like, yeah, sure, you can say that of any country. And also, like, you know, unless you live in the country, like, you come to Sydney, you're not really going to see snakes everywhere. Pyra came to Sydney. What'd you find in your bedroom?
Yeah, so I found a spider, more than one, and they're the murdery variety with the red stripe down the backs, and it was crawling next to my bed at 1 a.m. So if I'm a little sleep deprived, blame the spiders.
But Jake has issues with this.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't murder spiders. Spiders kill other more annoying bugs.
No.
You relocate spiders. You do not kill spiders.
You kill redbacks.
Yeah, you do.
Kill you redback spiders.
I'm all about relocation.
Next to my bed.
So what, you can't relocate a spider?
Not when it's 1 a.m. and I'm in my gym jams. That's not happening.
My gym jam. Only someone without a bed frame calls it gym jam, and that's an epidemic.
You don't have a bed frame.
That's an epidemic.
I'm sleeping on an air mattress till I get one. I'm like
His
temporary
lower back
boarding
must
right
be
now.
a quagmire.
You sure you're actually staying in a house and it's not a shed? Because
I'm not sure anymore because clearly there's no insulation.
this is a terrible story. All right, speaking of terrible stories, someone's going to have a bad night. In fact, there's going to be 4 teams that have bad nights because there's no draws in League of Legends. The games we have on today, wouldn't that be interesting though? Maybe we should talk to Riot about that. It's Chiefs versus Legacy, then Direwolves versus Bombers. Next up, the boys from Melbourne versus the boys from the Ice Age, Mammoth. And then finally, it's Gravitas versus Advanced Gamin.
It is, and this is actually a really exciting final match because it's going to be Ejim versus Rusty. And I think that most importantly, Avant right now look great, and Gravitas need a win because they couldn't get a win last week.
We had a very tough week in the top 2 teams versus Bombers.
Absolutely, but what I'm saying is a week and a half. Trust me, I've been in this situation. We had an O2 week, and there's a lot of pressure to come out and pick up some points at the start of the next week. So I'm just saying that it's an important week for the Gravitas lineup.
Yep, certainly agree with you. And I think in that same vein, you want to talk about Gravitas in that way? Same for Legacy, right? This is double 0-2 weeks. And they haven't won a game in 4 games, right? Then they have a very tough opponent in Chiefs for the first match of the day. That's certainly going to be an uphill battle. I feel like, given their current situation, we say that a lot, right? Legacy need to be swinging upwards. They've thrown some curveballs with some weird picks for Guts. They played Riven into Urgot, which I have heard after the fact is a good matchup into lane, but just didn't get anything done. So they have tried things, but they definitely need to be picking up a win.
Just stop trying to cheese us, please, everyone. Like, get rid of these top lane Riven picks. I don't want to hear about good lane matchup.
Maybe with the bloody Spear of Shojin. Woohoo, 9.3. Maybe it'll come out.
All right, well, you did reference it. The first game we have up is Chiefs versus Legacy. But before that, we also have spicy tips. Now, let's get the spicy tips up because...
That's real boring.
This is like last week again.
It's mild tips.
Okay, so everyone's going Chiefs for game 1. Game 2, everyone's going Bombers. It's order across the board except for Rusty, who's tipping Mammoth. And then finally, we've got Bryce with Gravitas as the only odd one out for game number 4.
I think Rusty's is the only interesting tip on the board there.
Do you think
Mammoth versus
that's
order?
true, of course, because it's not an emotional tip. And it's not a stat-based tip.
Yeah, that's a spicy tip.
Yeah, I'm glad that you guys talked immediately because I was going to say something very reflex at Zach, which might have been a little bit, maybe would have hinted that there's not only one animal in the room at the moment. However, I won't do that. But how can you tip? They're 2-4 and look absolutely in shambles right now. This is either insider information /
I have none of that, I'll have you know,
coming out of Mr. Pie, or a very left-of-field tip.
I mean, maybe it's just belief in the bounce back, you know?
Rusty's
a pretty Australian guy. It's an underdog story.
Let's ask Mr. Pie himself. Explain yourself, mate.
I just wanted to put a spicy tip in this week. I feel like right now we're getting more and more boring with our tips. Yeah, we're all getting closer to the same.
So you're shaming everybody into making like crazy predictions.
Well, I just wanted to shake it up. Because what if I'm right, you know?
That's the thing. If you're right, then you are right, and the rest of us are hella wrong.
Can I also just note, if we flick back to Rusty's camera right now, shaking it up, he's got a little something shaking it up behind him over his left shoulder. Our right when we're looking at him. We need to flip the camera. There we go.
What is that?
We got a little year of the pig shaking it up.
That is
look at that.
Obscene. There is darkness between that tail, and I don't know what's inside there.
Incredible.
All right, we're going to jump straight into the game. It is Chiefs versus Legacy. We've already teased it, and if you want to check out Paprise, you can see his POV stream. It is on our Twitter page, twitter.com/. @OPL, or /OPL, or @OPL is the way you know.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add to this game?
OPL Classico. This is a big one, and it's got a lot of new players in it this year. Want to see whether the new guys actually buy into the hype. These are the 2 most storied organizations ever in the OPL. Direwolves, eventually will join that fold, but for the first 2 years, 3 years of the OPL, it was all about these 2 teams, and you've played on both sides of it, Bryce. It's an important matchup.
Yeah, it certainly is. It feels good from both sides, I feel like one team more recently has had a better swing of the racket there, but even you talked about like the new guys buying in. We have some old faces. Raze has been in it before. Swiper has been in it literally the entire time. Claire, now he's jumped camp over from Legacy to Chiefs, so individual rivalries across the board, but definitely a big match for everyone.
Do you think in this scenario that the guys who've been there before are trying to impart this knowledge into the newbies to actually, jazz them up and get them excited?
I hope so.
I reckon Dos would.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Big Swips in the top lane. He would be all about getting the young guys into this sort of rivalry.
And very famously, Carbon hates the Chiefs.
Hate them as
he
a
hates
brand.
them as a brand. He
Hate them
hates
as a
the color
colour.
blue. He just hates everything about the organization. So I think that on Legacy, you can't escape that hatred.
The hatred is coming from the top down.
Especially
Yeah.
now that they've taken 2 of your players in very recent memory. Like, if Carbon hasn't got the troops fired up, I would be questioning it. So I think this will be a very spicy game.
All right, well, we are all fired up for game number 1, so I'm going to throw it over to the desk, and your casters, Rusty and Pirate.
And a twerking pig.
And a twerking pig. Thank you very much, Nick Boy. We're getting ready for the OPL Classico. But LGC Legacy, they've had a little bit of rough start to the split, certainly.
Yeah, they definitely have. EJ mentioned it as well. 0-4 in their last 2 weeks. And you wouldn't look at a game like this and say it's going to get immediately any easier. They can, of course, take victories. Direwolves have proven that it is possible to take games from anyone. It's a best of 1. All of these things are positives that Legacy have coming into the game. But it is still the Chiefs. They are still on an absolute tear. They almost perfect gamed Gravitas last week. Things don't seem like they could ever possibly go wrong for this roster, and you just have to hope they don't get complacent in that fact. And coming into the OPL Classico, as it is called, only in Claire, formerly of Legacy, I highly doubt they'll get complacent.
I think that's a fair assessment of the situation, but Legacy have been the team that have been unafraid. There's been a couple of teams like that have been unafraid to really try to mix it up a little bit with a couple of interesting picks. We saw Pap Rise on the Ribbon last week. I wouldn't be surprised if they have a lot more surprising champions to show, and you kind of have less pressure in the sense that you aren't winning with regular stock standard meta stuff, so let's get a little weird.
You never know with a team like Legacy what they can bring out. Praedith does seem to be able to have some different champions. Pap Rise as well. And Crazy's formerly an AD carry player. You never know what he's got up the sleeve. So we'll see where they go. Legacy, of course, with their pick and ban phase. But so far, we are 5 bans in. And there's one that stands out to me. And that is the very, very early Braum taken away from Crazy. Now, I feel like there's a pretty easy train of logic to follow there if you're the Chiefs. Crazy's a brand new support player. He's only playing Braum. So try and put him on something different. Force the hand of Legacy into a different bottom lane and see how they go.
Right, they're not giving up any serious early pick pressure for it either. Chiefs go ahead and get the Urgot lock in for big swips, and it's back over to Legacy.
I'm curious to note if Silas does actually get a similar priority to last week here in the OPL. We'll see, of course, as the draft continues, because it's a first pick Urgot. Aatrox is gone. Akali is gone. Lissandra is gone. There's so many strong, flexible champions that have been taken off the board. And I'm curious to see where Legacy go here in response to this.
Well, they've clearly focused on getting Crazy a champion he's at least somewhat comfortable with early on, because the Thresh pickup very quickly suggests that. So Chiefs right on the money with the banning of the Braum. We'll see what Legacy take as their second pick. And it looks like we do get the Silas again, Rusty.
There you go. So the Urgot's locked in. Silas secured. Silas is definitely a champion that can flex on Summoner's Rift, so we'll have to see where Legacy choose to put him. But I will say, from all the stats you've seen of all the pros around the world, he is predominantly in the top lane, as they've just insta-locked a Draven.
And a Zac. So Chiefs are going back to what was a pretty fun strategy for them last week. And we got a Yasuo locked in for Chaz. Okay, this is definitely getting spicy here, Rusty.
Yeah, it really is. So there's a Zac locked in for only, right? He doesn't know who his opponent is going to be. They just lock in the Zac, taking it from Guts. They lock in the Draven for Raised without knowing what their matchup is, just knowing it's a Thresh. And that really does get me curious. There are parts of this draft where I'm like, the Chiefs are just, they're picking champions that they're good at. You know, like they're picking champions that are strong for themselves. Swiper getting an Urgot, Raze getting a Draven, that's fair. The Zac, the very early lock-in of the Zac is clearly a takeaway from Guts. The Braum ban is clearly a takeaway from Crazy. And then Legacy in response, they have to go for their support first, it seems. Crazy doesn't want to get pinched too hard. And then they just yass it up.
Yeah. What do you add to this comp to round it out for that Yasuo synergy if you're coaching this team, Rusty?
You'd probably go for a Sejuani in the jungle. Something that can, have really good 2v2 dueling. Yasuo is an auto attack based champion. It helps with the Sedge passive. She's also got mini knockups in there, so true. Curious to see what the Chiefs continue with their second ban here. The Syndra remove clearly indicates that Yasuo isn't just dedicated towards the middle lane. Could actually be a bot lane Yasuo.
Well, that is a good point, actually. And, Praedith should be no stranger to using the Yasuo, considering his previous role. Chiefs going to take their time in that last ban, though. A lot of supports really started to stack against him. There's a LeBlanc banned out, so you can see that Chiefs definitely are considering the fact that Chaz might not be the one piloting this.
Yeah, they're either fully aware that Legacy won't put it mid, or they're denying things into what they want to pick in the middle lane. So no surprise here from Legacy in terms of what their fourth pick will be. No one should be surprised at all. Only knows the matchup anyway with the Zac. He'll be comfortable into the Sejuani, so they take that. The only concern is, of course, that 2v2. So if you're the Chiefs right now, Claire needs to pick a champion that adds strength to a 2v2 mid-jungle or adds strength to helping in the bottom lane. Draven is strong. Draven with a strong support can control the 2v2 pretty much regardless. Like Yasuo does have to have outplay there if he's down in that bottom lane. It's high cooldown outplay. So with Thresh gone, we'll see where they go, the Chiefs.
Yeah, still waiting on that support pickup. There's been a number of them banned away, even including the Braum by Chiefs themselves. And it looks like we got a J4.
I would.
Is that the AP Jarvan support I've been hearing about?
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. They've just gone for the J4 support. We've seen it in the LCK, and we're going to see it here on stage for the Chiefs. They know most of what their matchup is in terms of the support 1v1, and now there's an Ezreal locked in. We have confirmation that it is not going to be Yasuo in that bottom lane. And suddenly the Jarvan may not have the easiest target to ult on.
Yeah, it's a pretty slippery bot lane when you think about it.
But for those who don't know, that's not really what AP Jarvan is about. You know, a lot of the Jarvan principles, and we'll get into it more and more, of course, as we're onto the Rift and we have it on your screen visibly for you to notice, but he wants to throw the flags at people. The flag does a lot of damage. It applies summon Airy, which
it's
does
not
actually,
just for swag.
Yeah, it gives attack speed, gives a shield for your AD carry, so there is actually some merit in the pick. But you're not just about ulting until you've got a stopwatch or a Zonia's, because you are a very fragile Jarvan. You will die like instantly.
It is a really interesting composition from the Chiefs looking across the board, and you know, you can kind of almost tell exactly how. If you're just looking at the screen now and you've only just tuned in, you can tell how the comp actually kind of panned itself out from the beginning, because you got those obvious power picks early, and then it just descends into like question mark. Ah, okay, I can see that they might have been forced into this. So many support bans this game. But in the OPL Classico, Chiefs definitely the favored team, sitting atop the OPL at 5-1 currently, including the head-to-head over Bombers. But Legacy, what a statement it would be if they can steal a game out in this best-of-1 format from the Chiefs, the old rivals, and get themselves a win.
I mean, in its current standing, this is a battle of 1st versus 7th on the ladder for sure, but at the same time, we mentioned this before, it's best of ones, we've got pocket picks, we've got personal play styles, there's always an opportunity for that upset to be there.
100%. Now, we are joined, of course, by the coach of Legacy. It is Denian once again. Welcome to the desk.
Hey, thanks for having me again.
Yeah, so before I get into the draft, because there's a lot to talk about there, let's talk about the OPL Classico itself. Was there a lot of added pressure, a lot of added hype going into this matchup that there may not be in a normal OPL matchup?
Well, yeah. I mean, especially right now, obviously we're not doing as well as we would like to do. It's new roster. We're trying to learn a lot of things and get into a good position. But then you go against Chiefs and it's like, but we still have to beat them. We have to find a way to beat them.
Absolutely. There'd be some momentum or that feeling, that need to actually do that. And my question actually stems from the draft, because I would say this isn't the most conventional draft that I have seen, Denian.
Yeah, for either team, actually.
Yeah, exactly. How did you guys go adapting in your draft phase, seeing the craziness come out of the Chiefs?
So the only thing that made sense, like from my perspective, was their first pick of Urgot. We go into that knowing that they're going to do that, and then I didn't expect like a blind Zac or a blind Draven or any of those things. I didn't expect them to just do that willy-nilly. That was the surprising thing for me.
And how do you go like with the team communication-wise? Are they familiar with the picks? Is this something that might have stumped them in, you know, the early stages of this game as they learn, perhaps?
Well, we had like a plan based around if they were to pick Draven into us, so we still knew what we wanted to do. It was just we didn't expect them to do it blind. We expected them to do it if we showed something. So we kind of already knew what we wanted to do in this circumstance. Whether or not it pans out for us is another question, but that like we already had thought these are champions that they are likely to play. What do we do when they pick them?
So you have a fair amount of foresight on, you know, the likelihood of Chiefs picking a lot of these things, but for your own choices, do you think, you mentioned, you know, you definitely got to be able to beat this team even though they are atop the league. Do you think Yasuo is going to be that centerpiece tool to do that in this game?
I think Yasuo is pretty feast or famine, and he's pretty strong with Sejuani especially because of the interaction between those two, where Yasuo can just instantly or almost instantly proc his Sejuani's E. So I think if this lane goes well, it's every chance in the world that Chaz and Guts just run over the game with a really strong mid lane jungle duo.
Absolutely, and of course the wild card being in that top lane of the Silas and what he's potentially capable to do.
Oh, yeah.
How's Paprise been going with the new champion, having to play him a lot? Or
Well, it's still, like, he's been playing it, but it's still like 50-50. Like, we think we understand him, but he's still a new champion, so we're not 100% sure. So it is taking it with that risk, with that grain of salt, but in our position, we think let's take a risk. Let's
Fair
do
enough.
something fun, you know?
Absolutely.
Looking forward to see how it goes. Thank you so much for joining us, Denian.
All right, thank you. Have a good one.
You too.
He's so polite.
I can't help it. You ever go to an airport and they're like, have a nice flight? You're like, you too.
Yeah.
Then you hate yourself a little bit. In this
Yeah,
case,
see,
it's okay.
This is where my German actually helps me, because I just when I'm leaving Berlin all the time, I'm just like, good day, because it's easier to say than you too.
we say that as hello in Australia, Byra.
Yeah, well, you know, you're upside down here, right?
Maybe the rest of the world's upside down.
It's true, but
Have
it's
we
still
ever
180 degrees, my friend.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, of course, we are 3 minutes into this game now, Pyro, so we can take some stock of what has happened, primarily through the draft, of course, more than anything else. There has been no massive early game movements. The thing that Denian said, the coach of Legacy, is absolutely correct in that the jungle and mid lane is a lot of the centerpiece here for their win condition. And they're against a Rise, you know, someone who does build that tier when he can, and that's a fragile build usually. It scales up. So there's a window of opportunity where they may look towards that middle lane, but that's about how do these junglers get there. You know, they both want to farm up as much as they can, but early movements from the Chiefs.
Yeah, that's the thing. You want to try and keep both these junglers on the back feet, and you can see Only immediately was doing that. Got a little assist from Ayla as well, forcing Guts to flash away. He gets nothing for his troubles. No blue buff, no Gromp. Crazy Praetor, they're slow to respond because they were forced under tower. There is a hook that goes through, but it's just a little bit of poke from the Mystic shot.
Yeah, this is the lane pressure and control that the Jarvan and the Draven were able to achieve in the 2v2. You know, the fact that they have got that first movement to the blue buff means that Zac can walk in. Between a Zac and a Sejuani, they're not going to kill each other, really. It takes a lot of time and effort to get those kills on board. So, at the end of the day, it was just an attempted blue steal, but Guts does the very curious maneuver, I would say, of trying to just smite away the blue while he was touching his Gromp. You know, if you can just get that cheeky smite steal, maybe you dissuade them from pushing further. But Jarvan was already there. So now he has to flash away and loses a summoner spell as well as that blue buff, instead of just sacrificing the one objective.
Yeah, and that's not what you want to see, because you start falling behind, and these two champions are going to have the same kind of effectiveness, I would think, at certain phases of the game. The Sejuani can combo up, so it's utility-based, but at the same time, you don't want to fall behind the Zac, who has an insane amount of ability to go in. Chiefs continuing to really harass. I mean, this is just such a pokey lane when you think about it, because Ayla can just keep dropping those flags. Raze can really zone the Ezreal back, and you're starting to see the difference in the farm game. Of course, Prey does have the Kleptomancy to make up some of that gold.
And of course, for the Jarvan, while we are looking down at that bottom lane a little bit, we saw the first move from them before. One thing to note is that Jarvan's E, I believe, this is from memory, has like a 1-to-1 AP ratio on that flag that he throws down. That's a pretty big AP ratio, and this is why most Jarvans will build that AP build. And of course, going into the zone usually is your first primary item, starting with Stopwatch from his rune, I might add.
Yeah, something I didn't think I'd be saying in 2019, the AP Jarvan in the bottom lane.
Yeah, this is usually my wheelhouse. Yeah, I play AP Lucian. I try and revolutionize things.
That makes
needless.
sense. It does. That makes sense a little bit. I mean, I was like an old school like AP Tristana player, so I can get my head around an AP bottom laner, even though she was mid lane.
And this is an AP support variant of a bruiser, which is,
That's the weird thing.
It comes to a point where sometimes they just put AP ratios on things that you don't necessarily think about, and suddenly it's actually really strong.
Yeah.
We'll see how they go in this game with it, though, because we've seen it in the LCK. It was mildly successful, I think is the best way I would explain it.
I think that's fair.
If
Chiefs,
you harass with a flag,
yeah,
you usually
you
die
don't need
if
to drag.
they hit you. Yeah, because you can't drag yourself to safety.
Yeah, I think it's kind of focusing on being a lot more aggressive out in the front. Chiefs have confidence, though, that they can execute this. I mean, there's no reason not to. When you're so far ahead in the OPL, anything can happen, of course, but Chiefs have shown nothing short of magnificent play so far this split, and they do have the top spot at the moment with that tiebreaker over Bombers if they can maintain this. Shouldn't be a big problem for them. Of course, it is still a very even game in terms of gold. The biggest difference just in farm. Claire waiting in this brush here is going to bring Only actually in. As you can see, Guts was trying to get harassed on. Now we have level 6 on most of the champions. This is going to start changing a little bit. Here we go. Chads gets stuck on, rooted up for a second. Dashes, tries to get back to his teammate Guts. He's bleeding out here. Only flashing forward, forcing the flash for the Yasuo. And it looks like Claire's going to be coming through. There's the Flag and Dragons. First blood for Claire on the last hit.
And Guts with nowhere to go. He's got Paprise to perhaps save him here. It looks like he will be escorted out to safety, but Chiefs are still hunting.
Yeah, another flag and drag. Looks like they wanted to go all in this time, and you could see Swiper going through there, grabbing himself Paprise. They polish off Guts as well. That's 3 quick kills for Chiefs.
Ayla just goes on a full river walk from bottom lane up to top lane. Tribush on the recall. Ends up with 3 assists and a 2-0-1 rise for Claire. That is a ridiculously good start for the Chiefs. And I mean, at the end of the day, if we get the replay, you'll see it on the back of a mistake from Chaz. He wanted to recall. The only reason a Sejuani comes mid to help you push a wave is to help you reset the wave faster, to get you back to base, and then back onto the map quicker. But he dies because he wants to harass Claire, who was very clearly baiting. And then they just keep chasing until they get the 3 kills.
I think the most unbelievable thing about all that is Raze is 1v2 pushing under tower for half of that engagement. Chiefs are playing completely confidently. Good gold lead start to them. 2 kills onto Claire on this Rise. Hard to complain about it.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot you can fault the Chiefs on. A lot of this game right now is actually just capitalizing on errors from their opponents. You know, there's a couple of ways you could play League of Legends, and most teams in the world try to emulate the Korean style. You know, that slow, methodical, perfect League of Legends if you can.
Well, almost perfect if you go by world's records.
I'm getting there,
Yeah.
so don't worry. But then there's the other approach to it, is that you want to force errors from your opponents. You know, you can't play perfect if your opponents aren't playing in a way that you understand yourself as well as Chaz.
Only coming back to the scene of the crime here. Oh! Dodge out on the Ice Bowl. Looks like all the Legacy wanted to collapse. Only didn't even need to take the slingshot, as everything whiffed on Claire. And in goes Ayla again. Blast Cone Express out. But they're forcing summoner spells.
They brought 4 people here, Pyra, with an Urgot ultimate stolen from Swiper, and they don't get what they're after. So Claire just with the casual sidestep. He knew something was wrong, though. You have to remember that Only was hovering the area. So his trigger finger was ready on the Duke. He was able to get that one off in time as they just steal the grop from Praedyth pretty casually. Oh, and they're going.
Yeah, it looks like Crazy's got nowhere to go. Double teamed, double time, and Raze is going to cash in some stacks. This is going sideways for Legacy real fast.
Undoubtedly some fat stacks cashed in there by Raze as well, just being able to snipe that one out with his ultimate. And now they're going to push towards the turret. This may be one of those Chiefs games happening again here.
It's starting to look like it right now, and we wanted to big up the rivalry and the legacy of Legacy, if you will, but fact of the matter remains that Legacy have only been able to pick up 1 win so far in the OPL, and Chiefs are just playing on a different level right now. Legacy are going to have to find answers quickly if they want to have a chance to get back into this game. It's a 3,000 gold deficit that they're facing down. And Only kind of playing around a little bit there with Praedyth as he hops out to safety.
Yeah, it does get pushed out of the jungle eventually, but gets everything that he possibly wanted in that area, so it's not really a forcible removement by any means. He just chose to hop away, and now they're diving bottom.
Yeah, looks like it. Only coming right back into it, and Ayla's going to go golden. Ray's taking a few tower shots, but he's still completely fine. Last axe is not enough to get the finishing blow. However, still more damage to be done on this turret. There's a roam coming out for Chaz, try and dissuade this push.
They choose to recall. They don't want to even get that Demolish proc off on the turret. They want to actually continue and extend the suffering of this bottom lane. That Draven's going to go back and spend all of his money, may even just have a full item. Yeah, and he gets that one with some brown bags. They go bottom, and they are just going to make life hell.
Oh, no. Okay, so it looks like Rift Herald got very close to low. Guts was actually doing a great job of sneaking that one out. Of course, in the vision, maybe you can't really sneak so much, and this time, Claire does get jumped on by the combination of Guts and Chaz, but Ayla tags his way in, and then AP Jarvan does some serious damage, but Claire does even more. Taking the portal, looking to chase on, but Guts is already out of there.
They just take whatever they want from Legacy right now. There's no trades.
Oh,
they just kill Guts again because he wants to walk towards his Raptors. He saw them there. The signs of a team falling apart at the seams is definitely noticeable at 11 minutes into this first game of the OPL.
Oh boy. A lot of extra gold picked up off the turret, plating Chiefs in a massive lead at this point. Even Ayla's got himself a kill. He's a real speedy boy on those Moby boots.
He absolutely is a speedy boy. So is Claire in the mid lane. He's got his free boots. But all the times that he's gotten the passive proc off, then he's able to run away and try and dodge.
Only, speaking of speedy, Only is everywhere. And even through the flash, Paprise still gets yoinked back for a second, but he's still under tower safety range. And you can just see every time Chiefs go for a member of Legacy, they're forced to burn a summoner or they die.
Not a lot of kill threat, really, onto Paprise in that case. It was a good look, however. It's good pressure, more importantly than anything else. Yeah, Swiper had Cleanse at that point, and he didn't have his ultimate. If they had that, it could have been in kill range, perhaps, but not to be seen. Of course, they just take the damage. They'll take the reset. And I mean, really, they'll take a cushy 6,000 lead and just reset once again.
Yeah, it's desperation now for Legacy side. You know, Denny was talking about the feast or famine Yasuo. Chaz just hasn't had an opportunity to really get anything. Oh, and solo gold for the Draven. Raze is starting to set up for some real big axes.
This is a scary game. I don't know who deals with the Draven right now. I don't know who deals with the Ryze right now. And
it's
I
too many
feel
threats.
like at any moment, if they don't have vision on their flanks, only gets a jump off. With that elastic slingshot, suddenly the person's dead. And the counter ganks are the scariest thing about this Zac in his current state. The range with which he can counter from just makes it so hard to make plays. And you have to remember, the crux of Legacy's compositional strength is through their mid-jungle. But now there is 4 different areas on the map where Legacy need to either have vision of all of it or expect the counter from the Zac being there. Raptor pits are close enough. Blue buffs, red buffs, like they're all getting pretty close to the proximity in mid lane of a single jump. He'll always be there, and Claire is just too fed to deal with.
As nuttiest thing is all this gold lead is not even off of turrets, really. Chiefs just have the one in bottom. They've not even opened the map up any further because it is so early into this game. We're 14 minutes on the clock. Turret plating just falls down. Now, Chaz gets jumped on by Elise, forced to burn flash again against the support.
Yeah, the threat of a Draven walking up and one-hitting him is very real right now. Razor's gone back and he got a Zeal, so the chance of a crit is there. You don't even get recalls, Chaz. Back to your safe space.
Chaz is in trouble. Yeah, the Yasuo is going to have a hard time this game. Rift Herald gets popped in the mid lane, and it looks like this is the next point of attack for Chiefs Esports Club. Even Swiper's crab walking in.
They can dive too. Realistically, if Only gets in, remember that he has the ultimate, they can absolutely dive. He can't be CC'd.
Oh, that was a bit of a spectator bug. Shelly glitched back and away for a second, but tower's demolished, and it looks like we're up for round 2. This map's so opened up with turrets as well as damage. It looks like the Zac is abducting 2. Ayla's going in. Look at the damage they've just got between them at the moment. However, this might be the turnaround. Chaz does find 1 kill before he burns away. Claire grabs him as he was coming back on the Lantern. Not quite enough of a shielding to stop the Ryze from killing him, but Chaz does have gold.
Yes, they got a kill. They are on the board, Pyro. They have something on Summoner's Rift. Once again, we were getting closer and closer. I didn't want to say anything to that perfect game point. But a support Jarvan, I feel like it is a almost obligatory thing. You have to int at least once, you know? Like, the champion
it's part of the build.
The champion is 2, I have to go forwards, and I don't have a lot of resistances because I'm AP.
It's when you look it up on like pro builds or whatever, you know, you start with like, you know, your boots, and you go into some of the AP items, and then die once.
That's well and truly in your MOBA fire guides, absolutely.
It's good stuff. All right, free Cloud Drake. As if Chiefs weren't speedy enough, you're gonna get a little extra movement speed out of combat.
Tragic Ocean could have been Infernal or Mountain. The Chiefs would have benefited more from that one. But
yeah, I think they're all right with it, though. They just have such a hefty lead at this point. I mean, realistically, what are the chances for Legacy to try and come back into this? I feel like a lot of their champions are just, you need to go big early or go home.
Do you want an actual? Do you want?
I don't want a number. I'm gonna Han Solo you. Don't tell me the odds. I just want to know no. Okay, it's good to know. All right, well, Paprise is gonna get shoot up and spit out here. Even the Gromp's assisting.
And of course, he gets a nice little fear off to secure the Gromp as well. Paprise 0-2 now has his Iceborne Gauntlet. Is going to go towards the tank Silas build, something that we're seeing more and more of. Though it doesn't matter what his build is currently.
No, in this game, it's not a
tank
deal.
or not, he'll die very quick.
Yeah, it's rough. I always like to see, you know, when a new champion starts getting used and
Swiper doesn't
have a
even
decent
need
bit of
two
effect.
hands.
Yeah, it's good. But unfortunately, Legacy just haven't been able to utilize a whole lot this game because they've fallen so far and so fast. It's damn near 10,000 gold difference. Chaz is getting some free hits on this tower. Claire doesn't want to step right up to him just yet. There's a lot of members of Legacy in the area. To their credit, they are warding the hell out of the Baron Pit.
You know, one thing that Legacy do have is a lot of Iceborne Gauntlets. They have an Ezreal, so they have a decent amount of wave clear until a Baron is on the map. You know, a lot of the times when you see a Sivir or a Ziggs in a composition, of course I'm just naming champions that excel at it, you see their wave clear and you're like, oh, we really need Baron to break that. you know, because once we have the empowered minions, they can't just clear them before we can hit a tower. We have genuine threat. So that may be the thing that the Chiefs really wait for to break open this game. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we see threat on inner turrets, you know, just rotating back and forth, having vision control in the jungle. They'll pick a quadrant. Right now it's the top red side quadrant. And then once Baron's up, they'll either do it straight away or they'll bait it, get a kill, and then look for it. Because that's how they win.
Yeah, seems to be the game plan. Easy. And Chaz here, the rest of Legacy mobilizing to try and defend this tower, but it's still taking chip damage. There's so much poke, and then you've still got the potential to go in.
Yeah, you just have to think compositionally, if you're Legacy, who steps up to defend the turret? It's got to be a Yasuo with a wind wall. It's got to be a Sejuani with the ultimate and her passive up.
You've only got that on cooldowns too.
Yeah, but even then, they're high cooldown defensive spells that are being used, not even used for the offense. So they won't get a team fight if they push them off a turret then.
Yeah, fair. Doesn't get knocked up. But you can see Chaz isn't going to hit that ultimate button, especially not for one target. It's just, he doesn't have the damage to make it happen. They're down, on average, like half an item to a full item against each of the members of Chiefs. Looks like there's the lasso onto Only. Guts will tag his way in. They maybe look for a bit of damage onto him, but doesn't matter. The turret falls. It was so low already. So Chiefs might not have gotten the top tower, but they get the inner in mid.
And the recall timing here is very good from them. Of course, they'll synchronize their backs, except for Raze, who wants to pick up the wave. They'll have about a minute until the Baron spawns to go back together and get all of your vision. And then Raze will go back and get his items completed as the rest come on the map and start placing their vision down. So yeah. Very good stuff here from the Chiefs. Hard to fault their play so far, like we mentioned. You really just have to put the lens on their opponents in this one, giving them an early lead. And it feels like in the OPL, if you give the Chiefs an early lead, they are very good at closing games out with vision control, vision denial, and setting up for plays.
I think Chiefs have come out swinging, not just this game, but this split so far. This is, you know, the week where we see everybody has faced everybody at the end of this. At the end of today, in fact. With 7 games under their belts, it means everybody's faced off against every other team in the OPL.
That's true.
Chiefs have definitely looked like pound for pound the strongest, not just by their record, but because they are capable of doing this. They are capable of snowballing a lead to its logical conclusion. And apart from one game, they've been pretty consistent at closing things out.
We've seen what they're capable on with comfortable champions as well, and this is an opportunity to see what they're capable on with more meta style. Of course, now I'm not going to say that AP Jarvan is meta. I should take that. I do take that back.
It's a meta.
It's Ayla's preference.
Yeah. Raze on the Draven as well. I mean, you've got some preferential champions for sure. And the confidence in blind picking some of these things, like the Zac, just knowing that, you know, we can deal with whatever comes up against it. We know they probably want the Sejuani with the Yasuo. Actually, it was before the Yasuo. Never mind. Yeah, Chiefs are having a great time.
You know what I think is funny is if you ask most of the pro player supports around the world, I feel like it might be 50-50 between someone saying that like AP Jarvan is good or AP Jarvan is trash.
But that's also the pro mindset. You know, there is no middle ground between those two things.
There is influence, right, on opinions. Like if you see a Korean play it, you're like, this guy's amazing. But was he? You know, like, but was it an amazing choice, or was it just a choice that they thought might work because it's different? And then is that the logic that the Chiefs are using here? Because I don't think it would be. They're the better team coming into this matchup. I think they've picked it because they genuinely think it's good.
Yeah.
Right? So opinions always differ.
That is the nature of them. One thing that doesn't differ is how fast Chiefs can take this Baron. Oh! Woo! Pray if he steals that away. Oh, that was beautiful. And you look at his cam, he doesn't even change his expression.
I think that was a sly smirk that came out from him. And of course, Raze still has a bit of a cheeky grin on his. He knows that they don't necessarily need the Baron, but that would have truly sped this game up just a little bit more. So.
I'll give some serious brownie points to Praetor, though, for timing that very well. They had to know what was happening, but they didn't have the vision on it.
Yeah, no, he definitely blind stole it with an Ezreal ult. He doesn't have a whole host of AD or AP right now to amplify its damage.
No one saw that.
Just timed it well.
Okay, so Legacy can stall for a little bit here, but again, I'm going to go back to this. What can they do with it? I feel like they kind of just need to hope that the Yasuo gets a pentakill.
Well, yeah. I mean, if the Yasuo wants to get a pentakill, he needs an Infinity Edge yesterday. He definitely needs to have those item spikes online for him to be super strong, and the same time, that is what they get from this. They get time bought. That time may get them an item, may get them one step closer to winning a team fight, but even then, if they finish their second items right now, I would still say it's an 80-20 in favor of the Chiefs. They don't just need this time, they need to execute the perfect fight.
So you're saying there's a chance?
If they get to 2 items without losing any more,
There you go.
and
well, they're losing
they
turrets,
perfect the
unfortunately.
team fight, I will say there's a chance.
Okay. It's caveats, but there you have it. Rusty confirms Legacy still in this game.
Yeah, there has to be caveats to it. A map state that is
Nope, no context.
11,000 down at 23 minutes.
No context at all. Yeah, it's going to be a hard one for sure. Not a whole lot for Chiefs still have to take on the map, actually. They pretty much cleared out the Legacy jungle.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. This is why Baron was so crucial to their closing the game out quickly. It's just the base left of Legacy. They don't necessarily need to leave that safe space that they have now. It's very confined. It's very close together when you look at the map, just purely by design. The lanes are closer to each other. So it's really hard to get effective split pushes off unless you pressure everywhere at once. But then Legacy may just try and pick you off. You know, they may just try and take that fight immediately. And with the Baron, it's really hard to pressure in a 1-3-1 style. The minions slow you down plenty as it is.
Yeah, there's not much left to lose, just the Nexus.
They've got the Infinity Edge. They're on.
All right.
Yasuo has 2 items.
But can...
Whatever
last
you're
breath.
about to say is probably not.
I was
But
going to say last breath. He can do that, but will he?
exactly.
It's not always the smartest decision. All right, though. Chiefs going to continue to sweep this out. Look to close the jaws, end this game. Oh, you gotta be careful there, Only. He's a tanky boy, though.
Only is a very thick boy.
Is that like 3 Cs you're going with?
Probably only 2 Cs.
Only 2 Cs? Okay, so he needs another item.
The little piggy on the left of the screen's got 3 Cs.
I was going to say, yeah, the twerking pig is just still going.
You guys may not know this at home, actually, but the TVs behind us is what we use to watch the game.
Yeah, we switch over the source from
And
the
I
splash
I
art.
can confirm that the twerking pig is still there while we're watching the game on our screen.
Well, I mean,
It's
how do you
just
think
right
he gets
there.
into such good shape? He just twerks all day.
It's
That's dedicated gym routine, Rusty.
For 25 minutes, we have watched a pig twerk.
Well, you've watched a pig twerk. I've been trying to pay attention to the game.
I have watched a pig twerk.
Also, things I didn't expect to be
That's a
saying
really,
in 2019.
that's a really weird no context statement.
Woo! Happy Year of the Pig, everybody.
How was your weekend? Yeah, I watched a pig twerk.
Take a look at where the gold is actually sitting right now on all the members of Chiefs. A lot of it, surprise, surprise, in Claire's pocket. It's not the only one. Sam and the Draven as well.
Pretty
Raze
much
is stacked
2K
up.
across the board, honestly.
Yeah.
Every
Oh, in terms
individual
of leads, yes. But I mean, just who has the biggest amount of gold. It's in the 2 carries. Surprise, surprise.
There's a big lead between supports as well.
Yeah.
Ayla has more money than 2 people.
Ayla has been everywhere. That's the thing. That's I think one of the biggest differences. All that other
Oh,
stuff
that was
aside,
the
as the ultimate goes through, Ayla does go golden for a second, and whoa! True Shot Barrage comes through, not enough to clip anybody's health bars out, and everyone from Legacy starting to drop very quickly here. Chaz, crazy cut through. It's only right on the front line. Paprise going forward, but he can't get anybody, and this is how you know things have gone sideways. Raze is stepping into turret range to try and finish off Pradith as the Whirling Death comes back and through. With only Pradith left up, this should be game over.
Yeah, this definitely should be game. It looked like they want to go for him as well. Diving.
Onto the fountain. All right. I like it. Claire gives his life for the cause here. Pradith's still trying to harass and harangue the members of Chiefs Esports Club, but it is nothing doing. This is going to close out in favor of the Chiefs. You can see Guts comes right back in, but that is about all she wrote. And Chiefs Esports will notch another one in their belt to close out the first round of this round robin here in the OPL.
Absolute dominance from the Chiefs. The only way you can really explain that one. That's another shellacking coming out of the boys in, I was going to say blue, it's now black.
Well, you know,
Chiefs
I
with another
think at
fantastic
this
game.
point that's what Legacy looked like after the beating that they just got handed.
Absolutely. Pradith was really the only one that tried to preserve his KDA at the end of the game, stole the Baron away. There's some hope in the new AD carry of the team, but
I'm going to write down
Jeez.
shellacking, and that's all I'm going to write for my notes. And then I think I will know.
you'll have to pass that one through Spawn first. That's his word.
Is it?
Yeah.
Does he own? Did he add that one to Oxford?
So I think...
How do you spell it? I actually don't know how you spell
By
shellacking.
definition,
It's like shell.
I think there's a time limit on what a shellacking is justified as. And
Oh, really? It's a technical term.
I think that one was like a minute too long.
Okay, so what would you call this?
What
What would you have called this then if it wasn't a shellacking?
Stomp.
Okay, that's a stand. That's
Spanking.
an old. Spanking is good. You know, a little in light of the twerking pig, a little naughtier, but okay.
Less of an OPL Classico than we've seen before.
Yeah, it's a little
perhaps?
unfortunate because Legacy just aren't quite in that form. I do like what they're trying to do. I think their drafting has been very interesting. It's been very experimental and kind of unique in a way. And they present something that not a lot of teams are doing. But I wonder if it's driven a bit by desperation.
To be fair, I think it's just them choosing to actively take risks. You know, it's not that they were 0-4 last week. They're playing a good team now. They tried to take some risks, and the risk didn't pay off, but that's the price you pay when you take a risk. So I think it's just that simple.
Fair enough. Well, why don't we leave the definition of what that just was up to the couch. Nick Boy, was it a shellacking, a stomp, or something else?
I think he has the answer for you.
It wasn't a shellacking. Shellacking has to be under 25 minutes. Stop butchering my term.
There you go. But it certainly was a shebangin'.
It was a one-sided affair. How about that one?
Yeah, that's the PG term. But yeah, this is, I feel like, for Chiefs back-to-back. Last week, they almost had a perfect game versus Gravitas. That was a single turret. This time, it was a kill, a somehow stolen Baron. Well done to Praetor there, and then one kill on like the back end of that team fight. But this was a very one-sided victory, and Chiefs just looked dominant.
And they won it in the exact same way. If you look back to what happened in the Gravitas game, roam towards mid, Yellowstar went for a play, ALO said, nah, bop you back into the turret. They pick up 3 kills, like the game devolves, Chiefs like run over the top of it.
Yeah.
You look what happened this game, it was like they had like, I think, 15 CS mid lane lead, 15 CS lead top lane. All of a sudden, Ayla roams up towards mid lane, Claire baits very well, 3 kills, game over. Somehow at the same time, Raze staunches bottom lane off a wave as well. So they just win 3 lanes simultaneously. When Raze cashed in, like that game just went from like terrible to like just FF. Like literally go next. That was a Papa Smithy quick go next like that one.
Yeah. Quick go next. You butchered that so hard.
That was my use of memes is as poor as Legacy's gameplay. In that game. That was terrible.
Jeez. So, I mean, Legacy you would like to think that tomorrow could be a bounce back day for them, but they've got Mammoth coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, Mammoth lost against Direwolves, the other team with only 1 win, and they gave it to him, so who knows?
That is true. That's a very good point. But, I mean, Gravitas were in this situation last week against the Chiefs, where it was a pretty decisive victory. What's the bounce back mentally that Legacy need to go through?
Well, I mean, like you obviously have the 1-day turnaround to playing tomorrow, but I feel like it needs to be a wake-up call. From my end, like that's what it felt like for us. We completely changed the way we played and then went into the Bombers game. I don't want to talk about us. Like, what do Legacy do? They came into this, Danny in the interview said they came in through a curveball. They don't think they fully understand Silas. Like, that isn't a bad situation for me. For Legacy, this iteration going up against a very dominant Chiefs, like, I'm more than happy for a team like that to be like throwing curveballs and stuff, but something just needs to stick. I don't want to talk too heavily about draft, but I feel like this is a very volatile mid 2v2. Sejuani versus Zac isn't a good matchup for the Sejuani, but Yasuo has to play in the wave. And then if your answer to a known pick like Draven that Raze plays is a very negative bottom lane, you are not going to have priority. Your mid 2v2 cannot fight. Because exactly what happens should happen. Ayla always has priority. As soon as there's a fight mid lane, he just zooms up the river on Jarvan and he just like airy E flags his way in, flashes over the Baron pit. It's just such an easy cleanup. So I feel like it kind of didn't just come together.
In saying that, I will say it is probably easier for Legacy to bounce back than Gravitas. And I would say that 4 teams at the moment have an easier job of bouncing back than the other 4 teams because they live in Sydney. So they go home, they play some solo queue, they have their own bed to sleep in, you know, all the good things, like, you know, maybe you have a home-cooked meal, you go to the gym that you always go to, you have, like, some good routine in your life. For Gravitas, for Order, for Mammoth, for Bombers, you go back to a hotel or Airbnb, you can't play the game whenever you want because you're going to, like, you know, an unfamiliar setup like a PC cafe. So I will say it should be easier for Legacy to bounce back. You know, they'll go home, they'll have a muscle meal, they might have a kale shake prepared from Tim Carbon Wendell, and they'll try it, like, maybe a Masamon curry that was thrown around this week. I know they're a big fan of that at the Legacy house. And I think that they will try and do all those things. So, you know, fingers crossed that they can against Mammoth tomorrow. But, I mean, that was a very rough game to watch.
Well, I think you got a point there, because from what I hear, the coach of Gravitas sleeps folded up in row F, and that's the only kick he gets. Let's cross now to someone who just murdered 5 men in front of you. It's Claire, and he's sitting with Pyro.
Thank you very much, Nick Boy. Yeah, it felt like it was pretty much business as usual for the Chiefs, but this is the OPL Classico, despite what the results might have shown. So, Claire, was there any like special preparation going into it to try and hype you guys up for this match?
I think when we see Legacy, we don't think like, oh, we need to do something special because this is like a classic matchup, and especially since this is my team for the past 2 years, we didn't really think like this was this exclusive or special match. We just went in like as usual. So I'm happy that we won, and I'm happy that I came out on top against my old dog.
Yeah, always feels good. Kind of validates your decision making, right? Looking at the way things weren't a little bit usual was the way you guys drafted, especially. I want to talk a lot about what your sport ended up picking because this is something we've seen in the LCK. That Jarvan, was that something you especially prepared, or did you just kind of think, yeah, we can do the AP Jarvan in this situation?
Yeah, so Ayla, he saw Spirit play Jarvan in LCK and he got really interested. I think he's like a player where if he sees a new pick in the bottom lane, like in support, he really wants to try it out because he's always playing the same champs. He's always playing Thresh, Braum, you know, all these classic supports, and he wants to play something new. So he spams Jarvan a lot in solo queue and he realized it was pretty strong. And I think he's like pretty much the only one that's good at it at the moment. And it was good into that comp.
Yeah, it certainly worked out. I mean, you guys were pretty much flagging and dragging all over the place. So now you've pretty much cemented yourselves for the first round robin across the OPL as the top team. But you have lost to Order. So what are you going to do differently next time?
To be honest, I think we were playing like kind of meh before the Order game, and then we kind of realized like our play on stage just isn't disciplined. Like we make these stupid mistakes that really shouldn't happen. I think that's the nature of BO1. So after that, we sort of cleaned up our game. We realized like if we want to play better on stage, we have to play better in scrims as well. So we just tried cleaning up everything across the board. And especially with like these random drafts with hard to execute compositions, we try to steer away from those now. So I think that's what we've improved on, and that's what will help us win next time.
Well, it certainly showed out. And I think going forward, do you feel like there's a big gap between yourselves and a lot of the other OPL teams at the moment, or do you think it's actually closer than the record might suggest?
I would say right now, the top two, us and Bombers, we're looking really good, and the rest of the teams have quite a bit to go. I think Mammoth and Order can reach a top level as well, but for now, it's just looking like Chiefs and Bombers. Like, if you were to put playoffs right now, it would be us in the finals, I would say.
Ooh, wow. Okay, Chiefs number one. Let me chew on that one while you guys send it back over to the couch. Talk about more in that next matchup, too.
That's the dog. That's not me at all. Okay, I can see by tomorrow, I'm not even going to be in this chair. I'm going to be in the dog bed. Bailey's going to be sitting here.
Actually, it's like a really comfy dog bed.
Yeah, it really does.
Like, if I could get a blanket that like goes over my head and I could just nap the whole time, I would trade spots.
I haven't seen one like this where it's like a little, he's in a Peter pocket.
It certainly is.
He's in a what?
A Peter pocket.
You know?
All right. Now, I want to let you guys know about a competition we are going to be running today. We want to give the winner one of these HyperX headsets. It's a very good headset.
Great headset. If you have a rabbit, keep the cord away from the rabbit.
Keep the cord away from the rabbit. I feel like that's just good life advice. Full stop. Interpret the word cord however you want. The important thing is there's only one way to... I'm getting a lot of weird looks from all the production team behind the camera. There is one way to win this headset, and that is we want your budget cosplay, or budge play, if you will. So this is... We want you to create the cheapest cosplay you possibly can with whatever you've got at home right now. Submit it to us at OPL with the hashtag IMPO, and the best... And Bryce, I would argue, / worst.
Yes, absolutely.
One will win.
It's called budget cosplay.
That's true.
You can go very good or you can go very bad, and they meet at the same point at the top.
That's true. And I think we have an example of good / bad cosplay. So that's me dressed up as Annie. That is a t-shirt. You can't see, but there's two happy birthday hats as the ears.
You can see. You can see the one on the right side of your head.
Oh, yeah.
Poking out the side.
And then my skirt, and very faintly written on that skirt is the word pink skirt. So if you can beat that...
Is that tape that you tape the paper
this
skirt
is
on?
It is tape.
Emphasis on budget.
Tape. Very much
a paper skirt. Yeah.
I think you can't beat that. But we'll see. And if you can't, taking this bad boy home. I don't care what you say, Matt.
I'm honestly scared like of how this contest is going to turn out.
Yeah, I don't know what
I'm one of those people that expects the worst. So if people like do anything better, I'm like pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
After seeing that photo, even I am shocked.
Yeah. At the depths that we'll go to for hashtag content. All right. Speaking of hashtag content, we got more of it because it is the Lunar New Year. And I don't even know what this is. I have not seen this. The Riot production team have organized the lunar horoscopes
I'm going to stop
for
you
each
right
one of
here.
us.
Because last year, I had this massive problem with you outsourcing your segments to the people at home.
Yeah.
However, you told me it was engagement.
Yeah.
I want to see how you outsourcing your job to the producers is like going to be covered up.
No. This part's Bailey.
Oh,
Bailey. They're never going to give you your own show if you can't focus for 2 minutes while there's a camera on you. Get back into bed. Get into your pitter pocket.
oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Into your pita bread.
Yeah, that's right. Daddy's angry. You good little boy, you're so cute. What were you saying?
I can't remember.
Who cares? We got Lunar New Year horoscopes for everyone on the broadcast. The first one is Bryce's.
All right, what we got?
Let's find
Am I
out.
reading
'cause
it?
I don't know.
What's happening? I have no idea what's happening right now.
Let's bring up the first. So what it is, it's going to tell you.
This is a wholesome sit on the couch. You're perched. He's perched on the couch.
I'm most interested in anything I've seen.
Oh,
Spawn beat in a
okay.
while.
So
Am I reading my own horoscope? Is this what I have to do? Okay.
Why not?
Year of the dog. I like that. That's a good
Makes
year.
sense. You are.
No. Okay. Honest and loyal, dogs are the truest friends and most reliable partner. Most reliable partners. Love conditions are favorable this year. This is a good chance to meet a special someone or advance an existing relationship.
Right.
We have an existing relationship, right?
Yes, yeah, we do. Sure, Jake. Distraction will be everywhere, and dogs are easily distracted. Strongly disagree. Keep focused on your goals, and you are likely, or you are likely to miss a great opportunity.
You literally just saw a dog get distracted by walking out of the pitter pocket and try to wander across.
The other
set
thing
to the
I
bin.
want to point out is you were the original boy dogger.
What do you mean?
That's
Bollocks.
That
Give
is
an
not
example.
bollocks.
An example.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
you were
give-
one of 2 members of the Chiefs Esports Club that had cars and would very frequently go for snack runs without other
the
members
boys?
of the team.
No, what do you mean? No, the boys would come on a snacky run. First of all, snacky run. There's a Y in that
I'm
sentence.
not saying snacky ever. in terms
snacky
of the
run. And no, we went all the time.
Yep.
I don't
That's
like
not
the
what
sound
I
of
heard.
this at all. But I think
okay.
we need to focus on the fact that there could be someone special
Yeah.
coming into your life, and that's very exciting, Bryce.
Mrs. DJ Paulie B.
This is DJ Paulie B.
What do you look for in a wife, Bryce?
In a wife.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm looking for a wife, bud. I feel like
That's
I'm
not very ambitious.
I feel no, it's not.
All right, there's a lot of crushed hearts out there.
He's married
Sorry.
to Gravitas.
He's married to Gravitas, yeah. Married
that
for life.
juice?
I mean, there's someone else who is married to... no, actually...
I'm not married at all.
No, I was going to say who's married to their team. And because, you know,
I am married to
boys from order. But we're not doing yours, we're doing Rusty's. So
Oh,
it's got nothing
God.
to do with you. There he is. Year of the Rooster. Rusty, talk us through yourself.
Okay. Roosters are complex people who seem strong, but deep down need validation from loved ones.
Oh.
I appreciate you.
Thanks, mate. A year of taking action and moving forward. The last chance for many years to have good luck starting new things. The early months have many traps that could cause a fall into a year of bad luck. Beware of March, as it will be your unluckiest month. That's just really scary.
Are the
It's like Caesar,
OPL
dude. Beware
Gauntlet
March.
games in March?
Oh, no.
Are the OPL Gauntlet games in March,
Oh.
ladies and gentlemen?
I'm getting stitched up by production here.
And then I love the fact that the first paragraph was basically like, you require external validation.
Yeah.
Good. And then the last paragraph is like, yo, next month's going to suck.
Next to coaches who won't validate anything then, because it's during the gauntlet.
Wait, so is this bad luck? Does that extend to like Avant, or is it just you personally?
I'm the rooster, so I assume it's just me.
Okay.
But
Yeah, what
but-
year was
but-
AV born?
But some would argue that you
are
are the
Avant.
linchpin of Avant. I mean, I wouldn't, but some would.
It's a convenient
Like
statement.
there is a keystone in this brick wall that if we removed,
Yeah.
the whole brick wall would tumble down if it was actually bricked.
That's right.
Theoretically. Like, a load-bearing stone.
This is a brick.
Rusty is the load-bearing stone of Avant Gaming.
That's how I've validated Rusty.
Yeah, I feel
By saying
very
you are
validated.
the load-bearing stone of my life, Rusty. So there you go. Watch out for next month, because I'm going to get you.